This July, declare independence from floors you're tired of looking at. Freedom from worn-out carpet, freedom from scratched floors, freedom from stains, scuffs, and the room you've been meaning to update for years. Freedom from saying, maybe next year. At S&G Carpet & More, we make it easy. Explore luxury vinyl plank, laminate, hardwood, carpet, and beautiful Karastan flooring designed for the way real families live. Visit one of our showrooms or schedule a free in-home appointment and we'll bring the samples directly to you. Then let S&G handle the heavy lifting. We'll move your furniture, provide professional installation, and finish the room with beautiful new baseboards. And with our no surprise guarantee, you'll know exactly what to expect every step of the way. During our Star Spangled Savings event, save 25% on select products and 50% off select baseboards. Star Spangled Savings ends July 31st. See store for details. Visit sgcarpet.com or call 1-ton-of-carpet today.
S&G, more than carpet, where quality is affordable.
Save on Karastan flooring plus 25% off select products and 50% off select baseboards during S&G Carpet & More Star Spangled Savings event. Visit sgcarpet.com today.
S&G, more than carpet, where quality is affordable.
When people describe King of the Hill, they usually reach for words like grounded, subtle, or ordinary. That's true, but it can undersell what the show is doing because King of the Hill is, at its heart, a moral comedy. Not a show where characters learn a neat lesson and hug at the end of every episode. Not a show that tells us Hank Hill is always right. In fact, Hank is frequently wrong. Sometimes stubbornly, sometimes hilariously, and sometimes in ways that reveal real limits in his worldview. But the series keeps returning to a particular moral question. How do you live decently with people you do not fully understand? That question sits beneath almost every major relationship in Arlen. Hank and Bobby, Peggy and her need to be respected, Dale and everyone's patience with Dale, Bill and the fragile dignity that keeps him going, Con and his hunger for status, Luann and her constant effort to build a stable life from instability. And what makes the show special is that it rarely answers these questions with ideology. It answers them through proximity, through being neighbors, through embarrassment, through small acts of mercy, through deciding that a person is more important than winning an argument. Today, I want to look at the morality turns of King of the Hill, the moments where a joke, a conflict, or a deeply held belief quietly becomes a question of character. All right, stop there for a sec and play this.
Stars at night are big and bright, deep in the heart of Texas. The prairie skies are wide and high, deep in the heart of Texas. Deep in the heart of Texas.
Welcome back, guys. This one's a little different, so stick with me. Let's start with Hank Hill because Hank is both the show's moral center and one of its most frequent moral obstacles. Hank thinks of himself as a practical man. He believes in work, responsibility, rules, loyalty, good maintenance, and buying a tool once instead of buying a bad one twice. His ethics are not abstract. They are built into habits. Do your job. Keep your word. Don't make a scene. Take care of your family. Respect your neighbors. If something breaks, fix it. The problem is that Hank can mistake familiarity for virtue. If he understands something, it feels respectable. And I think we've all kind of been there. If he doesn't understand it, he often assumes there must be something suspicious about it. Bobby, however, is where that limitation gets tested over and over and over. Bobby is not the son Hank imagined. He's not the athletic son he preferred. He does not naturally love propane, football, or kind of straightforward masculinity Hank was raised to admire. Anybody met Cotton? Bobby is the theatrical, impressionable, deeply weird, and genuinely curious. He is often a little cowardly, but he's also capable of remarkable emotional intelligence. And the moral journey of Hank and Bobby is not really about Hank becoming modern. No, it's more about Hank learning that love requires a larger imagination, and we get to see that in real time. A lesser sitcom would make Hank reject Bobby, then accept him in one big climactic speech. King of the Hill understands that people like Hank, well, they don't change that cleanly. He improves in increments, small things. He backslides. He makes progress because he loves Bobby more than he loves being right, which is absolutely true. That is the key turn. Hank might never fully get Bobby's interest, but he gradually learns that understanding is not a prerequisite for care. You do not need to share someone's taste, identity, or ambition in order to protect their dignity. And that's very true. Hank does that quite a bit. This is a surprisingly radical idea for a show that spends much time talking about lawn care. The same thing happens whenever the show approaches questions of, like identity, prejudice, or social difference. We've talked about this many times, how it's not what it says it is. King of the Hill is often remembered for its willingness to let Hank be uncomfortable, but the show's real accomplishment is that it makes discomfort morally productive. Hank's first instinct is often defensive. He worries about saying the wrong thing, being judged, or having the familiar rules of his world rearranged. And boy, does that happen a lot. Sometimes that fear makes him say foolish things. Sometimes it makes him avoid a problem. And he may avoid it completely. But the show does not usually frame his discomfort as proof that he is evil. No, instead, it frames it as a starting point. Hank has to choose what matters more, protecting his self-image as a decent person or actually behaving decently when decency costs him something. And often it's just that image of himself. That distinction shows up constantly. It's easy to think of yourself as fair-minded when nothing challenges you. It's much harder when your child, your neighbor, or your workplace asks you to step outside the boundaries of what feels normal. And then Hank's best episodes are the ones where he makes that step, not because he has to become an expert. No, not because he has delivered a perfect speech. Nope. But because he realizes someone else is counting on him. And that happens pretty frequently. He can be awkward. He can be late to the point. He can use the wrong words. But when he finally sees the human being in front of him, he usually does the right thing. And we see that over and over. Those morality turns, boy, they are in almost every one. That is the show's vision of moral growth: imperfect, embarrassed, and practical. Now, Peggy Hill offers a different version of this. Peggy is often treated as one of the most divisive characters in the series, partially because she has enormous confidence and only a somewhat smaller amount of competence. She is not a competent individual. But Peggy's moral turns are fascinating because her greatest flaw, her need to be admired, is tied to something sympathetic. I mean, you do feel sorry for her every once in a while. Peggy wants her life to mean something. She wants to be important. She wants to be seen as smart, capable, and worldly. The trouble is that she can turn other people into supporting characters in the story of Peggy Hill. She does definitely have that main character energy. When she is at her worst, she confuses good intentions with good outcomes. Too often, she assumes confidence is expertise. She can be condescending, controlling, and oblivious to the harm she causes. But the show also gives Peggy moments of sincere courage. She will stand up for a student. She will defend her family. Boy, will she. She will defend her family at the drop of a hat. She'll work through humiliation rather than simply disappear. And then when she's forced to face the differences between who she believes she is and how she has behaved, Well, the show occasionally lets that recognition hurt. That pain matters. It prevents Peggy from becoming only a punchline, right? And she has been a punchline for all of us. Like Hank, Peggy is often asked to choose between preserving her ego and seeing someone else clearly, which she does have trouble with because she wants to be the smartest person. Her best moments are the ones where she manages, however briefly, to put another person's needs ahead of the performance of being exceptional. And that is going to take us to our first commercial break. We will take that and we'll be right back.
Join the Daily High Club, the premier destination for glass, water pipes, vaporizers, and accessories. Since 2015, we've sold over 1 million quality products and teamed up with legends like Snoop Dogg and Tommy Chong. Ready to elevate your smoking game? Visit dailyhighclub.com for our El Primo subscription box or shop unique pieces today.
Discover the world of luxury sex toys at Luxury Toy X and indulge in the ultimate pleasure experience. For years, we have been dedicated to the belief that sexuality and wellness are essential components of a happy and healthy life. With over 70,000 satisfied customers, we take pride in our ability to provide products that enhance your sexual well-being. Join our community of satisfied customers and unlock a world of pleasure and self-discovery. Visit luxurytoyx.com today.
This July, declare independence from floors you're tired of looking at. Freedom from worn-out carpet, scratched floors, from putting off the project another year. At S&G Carpet and More, explore luxury vinyl plank, laminate, hardwood carpet, and Terrastan flooring. We'll even move your furniture and handle the professional installation. Save 25% on select products plus 50% off select baseboards during our Star-Spangled Savings event. Visit sgcarpet.com or call 1-ton-of-carpet today.
S&G, more than carpet, where quality is affordable.
Polo Neuro is a new kind of wearable that helps your body recover from stress, that helps you calm down and feel better. You sleep better, and you can get back to being yourself. Learn more at apolloneuro.com.
I'm Hunter, the founder of Hello Cake, and today we're digging into ED meds. The number one thing we hear is that guys are sick of waiting for ED meds to kick in. Traditional ED meds take about an hour to kick in as they have to go through your digestive system, where Hello Cake's ED medication dissolves under your tongue and works in about 15 minutes. That's about 3 times faster than traditional ED medication. Curious about ED meds? Go to hellocake.com.
Relax with Hemp Delicious. Organically grown hemp, massively blended with delicious organic herbs, responsibly sourced for their holistic benefits. Each sip offers calming, antioxidant-rich wellness. Brewed just for you. Sip the calm with Hemp Delicious. Find your blend at hempdelicious.com.
Baby girl, were you staring at me? You know that's not convincing, right? Try again. Well, you shouldn't just be staring then. You should taste.
I'd miss your presence, your laughter.
Remember, you should taste. Ooh, that commercial makes me nuts, man. Okay, let's get back to this. Now, if Hank represents the morality of responsibility and Peggy represents the morality of recognition, then Bill Dauterive represents the morality of compassion. Bill is one of the saddest characters in television. I mean, like in all of television. He's a sad sack. But King of the Hill never lets us reduce him to sadness alone. He is lonely. He is often manipulated. He has very little self-esteem, and he can become exhausting, needy, and even destructive when he feels abandoned. I mean, we've seen all of this, right? The easy response to someone like Bill is contempt. The harder response is to recognize that he is a person whose failures are visible because he has so little protection from all of his failures. Hank and the Alley crew make fun of Bill constantly. Sometimes the show makes us laugh at him too. I mean, often you see him like the last one where he had a flaming turkey on his foot. But the moral line of the series is that Bill must not be discarded. That matters because a friendship in King of the Hill is not glamorous. It's not maintenance, or it is maintenance. I'm sorry. The guys do not always know how to help Bill. They are not great at talking about feelings. They often avoid emotional openness until a crisis makes avoidance impossible. But they show up. I mean, they always do. They retrieve him from bad decisions. They let him stand in the alley. They make space for him, even when he is difficult to make space for. That is a very specific kind of love. Not emotional fluency, but continued presence. And I think we all know that that can be very valuable. And the show is honest about the limits of that love. Friendship cannot fix all of Bill's wounds. It cannot give him a new past. It cannot make him suddenly whole. But it can keep him from becoming invisible. Now, let's talk about Dale Gribble. Dale Gribble, or Rusty Shackelford, tests that same principle from another angle. Dale is paranoid, selfish, gullible, and sometimes spectacularly irresponsible. If any character seems built to be rejected by the reasonable people around him, it is Dale. And yet Dale is still part of the circle. Why? Partially because he's funny. But more importantly, because the show understands that community, let me say that again, the show understands that community cannot depend on everyone earning membership through flawless behavior. Dale is tolerated because he is known. His flaws are not abstract. They are woven into a history of shared barbecues, emergencies, favors, and conversations that never quite go anywhere. And if you really take a look at the big picture, Dale does show up. That does not mean that the show says Dale is right. It absolutely does not. His conspiracy theories are portrayed as absurd, which they are. His certainty is a joke. His fear makes him ridiculous. But the people around him refuse to treat his weirdness as grounds for cruelty. It is true. They're never really cruel to him. That distinction is important. You can disagree with someone completely without making them disposable. And I think we do that a little too often in society these days. In a world that increasingly encourages us to sort people into teams, King of the Hill keeps returning to the messy reality of relationships. You don't get to choose your neighbors as carefully as you choose your opinions. That's an important point there. You live beside them anyway. So speaking of neighbors, let's talk about Khan Susanusenphone. He's another character whose morality is built around recognition. Though in his case, recognition is tangled up with class anxiety. Khan always wants to be the best. Khan is ambitious, proud, status conscious, and frequently cruel to the Hills and their friends. He sees Arlen as beneath him, even while he's trapped by the need to be accepted within it. Khan is a pretty sad figure, honestly. But Khan is not just there to sneer at small town life. The show gives him a real ache. He wants security for his family. He wants his daughters to succeed. Boy, does he. He wants not to be dismissed. His snobbery is often ugly, but is also armor, and armor that man needs. That does not excuse the way he treats people. It explains why the show's best Khan stories are not about defeating him. They're about catching glimpses of the frightened person underneath all of the performances. There's a recurring generosity in the way that the Hills respond to Khan and Khan's family, honestly. They get angry with him, certainly. They are not endlessly patient. But when Khan is genuinely in trouble, the neighborhood's basic moral instinct is to help, which they always do. Not because he has been kind, often he is not, but because a neighbor is in trouble. That phrase, a neighbor is in trouble, might be the closest thing King of the Hill has to a moral commandment. Every time a person in the neighborhood is in trouble, they come a-running. And then there's Luann, whose arc may be the clearest example of the series believing that people can grow when they are given safety. I mean, Luann begins the show in chaos. She's young, vulnerable, and trying to escape the damage done by a deeply unstable family. Mama stabbed daddy with a fork. Hank often treats her as a disruption to the orderly life he is trying to preserve. He doesn't do that as much anymore. But over time, Luann becomes part of the Hill family in a way that cannot be undone. she is woven into their fabric. Her growth is not presented as a miracle of individual willpower. She does hard work. She makes choices. She learns. But she also has a place to land. That is the moral point the show makes quietly, but repeatedly. That is, people do better when someone gives them room to become better. You've got to give people room to become better. Hank and Peggy do not always understand Luann. Who would? They can be patronizing. They can underestimate her, but their home becomes an anchor. And Luann's eventual confidence feels earned because it grows from more than a lesson. It grows from being treated, most of the time, as someone worth keeping. This is why King of the Hill still feels unusually humane. It's not humane because it believes everyone is secretly wonderful. Nope, that is not the case. Some characters are selfish. Some are cruel. Some are trapped in patterns that they may never completely escape. It is humane because it asks what people owe each other anyway. What do you owe the friend who is hard to be around? What do you owe the child whose life does not resemble the one you planned? What do you owe the neighbor who insults you, misunderstands you, and then needs help? What do you owe someone when you cannot fix them? The show's answer is rarely dramatic. You owe them honesty. Say that one more time. You owe them honesty. You owe them boundaries. You owe them the chance to be more than their worst day. And when the moment comes, you owe them a little more patience than you may feel like giving. That does not always look noble. Sometimes it looks like listening to Bill complain. Sometimes it looks like helping Dale out of a mess he and only he created. Sometimes it looks like Hank standing beside Bobby at exactly the moment Hank would rather disappear into the nearest hardware store. But those small choices are really the point. The morality turns in King of the Hill are not grand conversations. They are corrections. A character realizes they have been selfish or judgmental or cowardly or so committed to a version of themselves that they have stopped seeing the people around them. Then, for a moment, they turn. This is just like Hank looking in the mirror. They choose care over pride. They choose relationship over certainty. They choose the difficult version of decency. And then usually somebody says something weird. Dale gets distracted by a government van. Bill does something embarrassing. Hank mutters that he does not know what is wrong with the boy or the world. The show moves on, but that is exactly why its moral vision lands. It just keeps moving. Life does move on. Planet doesn't stop spinning. Most of us do not get a swelling musical cue after we become slightly better people. We just have another conversation. We take out the trash. We show up the next day. King of the Hill understands that goodness is not an identity you achieve. It is a practice you keep returning to, often in the alley with your neighbors, holding a can of beer and trying, sometimes awkwardly, to do right by each other. That's the quiet genius of King of the Hill. It knows the world is full of people who are difficult, limited, and occasionally impossible, and it still asks us to make room for them. Thank you guys for being here. I hope you enjoyed that little video essay that I did about the morality on King of the Hill. Rusty is fine. He's just asleep. The man works a lot, and so I wanted to give him the day off. I think he's going to be out of town next week, so we may have to come up with something else. But I will see you for sure again on Monday. And remember to check us out on all social medias. You can also check out thatmikehamilton.com. That is my website where I'm trying to build a brand here, folks. But go check it out if you would. Like, subscribe if you can. That would be great. And believe that leaves us with one thing left to say, and that thing is make sure you buy some insurance. No, that thing is Wimatanya and Wimatanya indeed. See you later, guys. Thanks.
Evening. Buyer's remorse. Buy a new car? I'll be moving in. Let's get started.
Sorry, I think there's been a mistake. I bought it from Carvana.
You what?
Yeah, great price. I even have 7 days to love it or return it.
So there's no...
No buyer's remorse. More like buyer's rejoice.
I guess I'll let myself out. Congratulations. I mean it.
Buyer's rejoice. Buy your car today on Carvana.
Limitations and exclusions may apply. See our 7-day return policy at Carvana.com.